I accidentally applied to the first law office job on Truffle. I myself had discounted that I couldn't do the job. I was like, my German's not perfect, so I can't do it. And they were like, well, we're the lawyers. We're not asking you to go into the courtroom and argue. We're asking you to send a bill. And we think you can do that. And they were right.
Today, I'm talking with my friend Stephanie. She's not a career coach, she's not a recruiter or hiring manager. She's just someone who is really very good at getting those jobs. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Stephanie, you said something I can't stop thinking about. If I need to, I can pretend to be a white man and kick those doors myself. Tell me what happened.
I think a very long story, very short, is that often we as women reject ourselves out of the system before it even rejects us. Like sometimes you just have to not give yourself the luxury of that doubt and just introduce yourself and be outgoing and be proactive and just act like, yes, I also deserve a place at this table. I deserve a space in this room. I deserve to be here just like anyone else. They have work that needs to be done. And why not me? Sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader, and I think people pick up on that. It's, of course, very hard to look for a job. It's hard to keep interviewing and keep getting rejections and to hype yourself up. But at the end of the day, it's not like we have to be perfect, but we have to find that inner strength.
Right now, at the moment, since I haven't found my job so quickly, it's creeping into my mind that I'm becoming ashamed that I can't find work so fast.
I actually really liked the episode that you had with the Swedish man, and he was like, sometimes you just have to think like an American. And I'm like,
It's true.
when it comes to looking for jobs, when you come from a place where you have to take care of yourself, it is not shameful to be looking for work. It's not shameful to say, my entire company went out of business overnight. I went in the morning and my badge didn't work anymore. That doesn't have anything to do with me. That has nothing to do with my worthiness. Like, it's the Hunger Games out there. Like, it's relatively easy for me now. It hasn't always been that way. I was employed, but not permanently for years. And it doesn't have anything to do with me. It can feel like that. But so we just say it's not embarrassing to talk about money. I'm looking for a job. Oh, what do you make? Oh, this is what I make. It's nothing about you. And the thing is like you have standards and you want to find something that's really aligned with you. So if you have to wait a little bit, that's okay too. You have to take the shame out of like, I'm trying to take care of myself. There is no shame in that whatsoever. That's actually commendable. And to keep doing it when you just feel like I can't find anything. People should also respect that. And if they don't, who cares? They're not your people in a way. But, whatever. They can go kick rocks.
What mistakes do you see people making in their job search?
I think avoiding recruiters if they reach out. They've gotten me into rooms I would never have gotten into. And I don't care if they get their money because I'm getting a job. I would say when you're stubbornly doing something and people say, well, this is how I got my job. Try it. Be a little bit flexible. I cannot tell you how many people are like looking for jobs in Germany. Oh, I don't like LinkedIn. Well, do you want to be employed or not? I would say don't reject yourself out of the market preemptively. Just try. You have no idea. I accidentally applied to the first law office job on Truffle. I myself had discounted that I couldn't do the job. I was like, my German's not perfect, so I can't do it. And they were like, well, we're the lawyers. We're not asking you to go into the courtroom and argue. We're asking you to send a bill. And we think you can do that. And they were right. So now I'm off and running. And I would say, don't try to be perfect before you do something. Just try. Let them tell you no. And don't be quiet about it. Tell people you're looking for these things. They want to help.
Amen. Oh, amen. And a bit of your background. You are American, right? How did you end up in Germany?
So yes, I was born and raised in the States, but I moved to Germany almost 8 years ago. And I moved because at the time I was married to a German man and we were living in the States, but then he decided he was missing home. So I said, okay, sure, let's move back. And then later on, when I got divorced, I decided to stay in Germany and see if I could make it on my own. And I had always wanted to move to Berlin. So I just went to Berlin. And so I quickly found a job. Like within the first week I was here, I got a job offer at a law firm working as a team assistant, basically a legal secretary, you could call it. And ever since then, that's the field I've landed in. And it's going very well.
What is your experience in work? What kind of jobs or workplaces did you work in?
In the States, I got a master's degree in media arts. So, as part of my master's degree, and this was 20 years ago at this point, I went to Hollywood and had internships and was working in the film industry. But as I'm from the LA area originally, Southern California, but then my husband and we got married and we went to Portland, Oregon. And when I was there, I have worked for an airline and I worked for the railroad. I worked in banking. I worked in construction. I worked in the energy field. I was a vet tech. So if you have a sick dog, if I'm there, I can help you with that. So I have literally done everything. But what I can say the through line is for all these jobs is that I've always done what we would just call administrative work. So just being an office woman. And so I've dealt with a lot of change in my own life. But basically, every job I go into, the transferable skills I would say I have is administration, learning how to use Microsoft, all the suite, which we think sometimes, oh, that's a given. There's a lot of people that do not know how to use Microsoft Word or Excel. I know how to go into an office. I know how to just sit myself down. But I would always say the strength is that I can do everything because I've already done it. So I've dealt with a lot of pressure. I've dealt with going into the airline and being the only one because everyone was sick and literally running a regional airline by myself for a ship. So at this point,
Crazy.
I have a lot of confidence that I can just go in and just do the best I can. And it doesn't mean I'm always perfect, but I can rely on a huge backlog of experiences and learning by doing and not being afraid to ask questions and not being afraid to show vulnerability that I'm not understanding something. Can you help me? So communicate with your peers, communicate with those above you and those below you. It's like a sphere. I can do everything. We call it in German alles können. And yeah,
Wow.
I'm comfortable with a large variety of people, environments. For instance, the railroad can be very rough. It was all men. In the airline, I worked with flight attendants, mostly all women. I've worked with very educated people. I've worked with very not so educated people, and everyone in between. So that's my personal
Wow.
brand.
That sounds like a lot. Most people who don't know you could hear that and think, well, she's a job hopper. So, how do you make that look like a strength instead of instability, especially when you go in interviews?
Well, something I do have to clarify is for things like, for instance, the airline job in the military. I was laid off from the airline, I think in 2005. It was an economic downturn. I wish I could have stayed. A lot of people don't understand with the military, you don't walk in and choose what you're going to do. You're told what to do and you get a clearance, which means the same group of people are always there, but the name of the company always changes because of the way that the contracts work. I mean, one day you go in, you're working for company A, you turn in a badge and they give you a new badge. Now you work for company B. Same place, same job, same coworkers, because it's easier to replace the company than the people. So that is something I do have to explain, like whether it was economics or just the nature of the work or just moving, or I did temp work for a long time in the States, which is very different than in Europe. Maybe this is a good time to introduce like a principle I have, serenity prayer, which is basically when you go into a job, I'm very good at understanding this is what I can change. This is what's in my power. This is what I cannot change. And you have to know the difference. And when you've done everything in your power to, let's say, you want to be promoted, you think you were passed over, you want to get a raise, you think you are doing two jobs for one, you just have to decide, like, should I go? Because I've done everything I can. So I don't actually want two hot jobs, but I do not stay in jobs that are not suited for me. Most of it was economic. Most of it was the structure of the environment I was working in. That seems like there was a lot of turbulence, but actually there was kind of a through line to all that.
How would you describe your mindset if a recruiter would ask you, well, Stephanie, I see you, so many works has been done. Why do you want to try us now?
Well, I think that's a very fair question and very honest about maybe experiences I've had in the past if they want to know. But I just frame it as like, to me, what's most important is who I'm working with, not necessarily what I'm doing. So when I'm interviewing and we're having that exchange, it's okay if they think like, this is not the job candidate I'm really looking for. That's perfectly fine. No harm, no foul. I'm willing to talk to anyone. We have a severe lack in Germany of just workers in general. One of the fields that is feeling the most lack is, of course, healthcare and the legal system. So when I got into this job, I knew this is my ticket. The fact is, there are more jobs than candidates. So sometimes that does work in my favor, but I can also restructure anything to be a strength and to honestly say, sometimes I don't want to have to leave. This is also very hard for me to learn a new job and everyone's name. I'm willing to say yes, but I can do the job. And all jobs here have a trial period anyway. It goes both ways. If you get a job and they truly don't think you can do it, and I've heard from a friend this happened to her, they said at the end of the trial period, we just don't think that you're the right one for us here in this position. And she was let go. But I'm just very honest and very open. And I do have a lot to offer and I can explain anything. Like, a lot of people say I have gaps in my resume.
Have you ever received a question about those gaps, why they are there, or how would you explain those gaps?
Not too much, not really anything before I've been here working in this field. Once I just explain this is how the military works, they are like, oh, okay, I get it. And I think most people know that, for instance, in my life before in the States, it is a very turbulent, changeable kind of place. The pace of change is very quick. So it's easy come, easy go. But I think Germany, as they kind of are encountering multiple candidates that are coming from other places that have different backgrounds, I think in the end, it's like, do they think I can sit in this chair and do the job? And I think I make a good case for that.
Before this interview, you kind of mentioned that you don't even have to love the work, that your work for you is to fund your hobbies and pay the bills. How do you say that in job interview without sounding like you don't give a shit?
Well, I'm very passionate, as you said. We say there's a meme that goes around. I'm very passionate about not being homeless. So that is definitely a great passion of mine. I would like to be able to sit in my living room and not have to worry about those things. It's not that I don't care. I think a good example is, when you're an admin, and I know a lot of people do admin work, and it tends to be a lot of, these are the kind of jobs a lot of women have. For instance, when I came to Berlin, I got two offers. One was a really cool startup, and I actually knew a lot of people that already worked there. And one was a think tank. And these people are amazing, and they have great events, and their leader is a very charismatic woman. And so these were two offers, but I saw the money at the startup was so bad I had to ask, is this part-time? And as a framework, it is tens of thousands of euros less a year than I'm currently making. Largely the same kind of task, but I just saw that in the legal field, they pay better. Now, it is a more demanding job. It's not as maybe cool or fun on the surface, but again, it depends on who you're working with. And so I think if I have a good team and good bosses, I'm happy too. So I would look at it as though it's not that I don't care, but I also am like, well, why would I do this job for so much less? Like I could do essentially an admin job and make more. So I would say to people to try to look at it that way. And yeah, it's just work-life balance. Like my identity and my ego are not so involved in what I do. It doesn't mean that I don't want to do a good job and I'm not there to be on and to be proficient, efficient, and be on the ball. I had a boss that said, "You move so fast, I can't even think as fast as you. You're asking me questions that I haven't even thought of yet." But that's what a good admin does. Like we're the ones that are actually kind of running things in the background. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I also see that I'm just looking at where I can maximize my earnings.
So have you ever thought about like building a career, or actually maybe we could even say that you are building a career now?
So because I live in Germany, I don't know how I'm going to be here forever if I'll go home someday. But I would say, yes, I am now building a career here because that's my meal ticket. That's my train ticket. So if I just keep doing these admin tasks in this field with this job title at these companies, I'm not going to have to worry about not having a job, at least for the next 5 years. I mean, we don't know how AI is going to affect everything. That's also what I like about this culture about in Germany, even though sometimes it's great to work at home. But when they want you every day, your butt in that seat, this cannot be outsourced. They want to have someone take the stamp and be stamping the papers. They want you to print it out. They want the binders. They like seeing you every day drinking the coffee at your desk. So it's, to me, this is stability at a time I really needed. I'm rebuilding my life as a single woman, and I was married for over half my life. I am really flexing a new muscle. But as maybe one of your previous episodes had mentioned, building your personal brand. So like sometimes it's easy just to have that, your one liner. This is me. This is what I do. Nice to meet you. So I think that it's good to think about that way, about yourself that way, even if it's not necessarily your exact reality. You got to be marketable, I would say.
So you mentioned that you are starting your new job very soon.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Did you started looking for the job or you just got headhunted?
I think we all just need to acknowledge we need to be in job search mode all the time. It doesn't mean actively, but to tend those fires. Keep your CV updated. Join all of the platforms. Talk to people. So when I decided it was time for a change, I already had a short list of 3 recruiters out of probably 50 or 60 I've talked to and have connections with. I decided, okay, this is more of the area I want to go in. Last time they had really good job opportunities, or I really liked their communication style. They were very open. So when I decided to make a change, I immediately just called these 3 people that I had already been talking to. I was already connected with them on Zing, LinkedIn, whatever. They were able to already see, or they had my CV. So I already had built my profile with them or had given them all my documents. And so it was a very short thing. Okay, I'll look. And then hit them up again in a week and a half, 2 weeks. Hey, did you find anything? And they're like, hey, I found something. Do you want to talk to these people or not? Let's talk about these companies. And so when I decided to switch, it was a very smooth kind of a thing where it was already something I'd worked on and already relationships I had. And so it was very quickly from talking to them until I got a job offer. It was about 2 months.
How did you come up with this idea to start talking to recruiters or headhunters who work for you? Can you tell me more about this experience?
Yes. Well, I think for every country, decide which are the main job sites for your country. I think we've all heard of LinkedIn and Indeed, but in Germany, it's very important to have a Zing profile and to try to use Stepstone and Truffles, which I believe is actually a Berlin-based one. So I would recommend those. I had an active profile in all of these, and for instance, some of them have a very good system of like emailing you new jobs, sending you push notifications, or even Stepstone. You can use. They have a WhatsApp bot, and you can say Office Manager Berlin. Bing, bing, bing. Are you interested? No, and you can say yes, I want to apply. It's so easy. Why people are not doing this, I don't know. So first of all, be visible on these platforms. And then it just so happened that they were calling me and they said, well, would you like to talk? And I said, well, that's at first when I wasn't even looking for a job. For instance, a little company called Meta called me because they saw my profile. I went on 3 interviews, ended up ghosting me, and I didn't get the job, but they came to me. So people find me, and I would just say talk to them, because the thing is, I use it as an example. I have applied at certain companies, at certain law firms in Germany, and got an immediate no. And a couple of very good recruiting firms got me into interviews at like the top few law firms in Germany. And I was walking around these gigantic, beautiful buildings with art on the walls and coffee machines that must have been 10 grand. And I'm like, I'm here because of a recruiter. I don't think that people should, I mean, of course, don't pay for anybody. Like, don't, it's a scam when people are asking for money up front, same as apartments. Go to their website, look at their credentials, look at their LinkedIn contacts. A lot of times I would have the same contacts. I was like, oh, well, Nicole already knows this person. And so just talk to them and see. I mean, I've gotten interviews at places I would have never been invited to had it not been for recruiters.
I didn't do that actually. I haven't tried that to apply recruiters and talk to them and see what or where they could lead me.
I mean, I was just at a random dance class and we had a couple of minutes and I was talking to somebody because I'm always just talking to people. And I don't know, we just got in this conversation. She's like, "You look kind of sad." I'm like, "Oh, I had like a hard day at work." She's like, "You should apply at my company." And I said, "Okay," without it knowing, again, it was one of these amazing companies in Berlin that everybody wants to work at. And I actually applied for a project manager position. I said, "Can I please have your name?" She sent me the link that is for referrals. Zalando has the same kind of system. So I actually have also applied at Zalando, and I only got an interview because I knew somebody that worked there. And was able to interview through this introductory link that's not the same link as goes just to the bank. It's like this person in particular has recommended you for this job. So just a stranger did that after talking to her for a few minutes. So don't be afraid to be just open about things and to take opportunities where they come. I mean, if someone likes where they work and they think you have a good vibe, go for it.
Wow. I would like not to forget this part. I need to write it down somewhere. Thank you for the keeping me up, like bringing me up. Let's go back to your switching your jobs, right? So you got headhunted to the new office, and what kind of questions do you ask, or how you assure yourself that the new office will be better than the one you had? Is it just about the salary, or how do you find that will be better for me?
Well, I think what's also important to understand is that even if something doesn't go right, you make the best decisions you can given the information you have at the moment. And job interviews are one of these infamous things. It's not unlike dating. Everyone can have a great mask and say the right things, and then you get there and realize we're not actually suitable for one another. So, first of all, give yourself a lot of grace. What I like to clarify in this job is I was like, yes, I want to keep working for law firms. They pay well, they have great benefits. And I do like learning every day. Like, it's not a bad thing in any country to know laws, regulations, and how money flows. So, every day I learn something about the legal system in the country I live in. And that is very valuable. So, I was happy in this field. But what I am trying to emphasize now is that I like a more collaborative environment. Of course, it's hierarchical in the sense that there are partners, there are senior associates, there's associates, and then there's the administrators and the assistants that are supporting them. So I understand it's hierarchical, but I'm looking for a place like communication flows up and down, left and right. So instead of one assistant helping one partner, it's more of like a pool that are, of course, you're helping one or two people and their small team the most, but it feels more collaborative and more of a team spirit. For instance, in Germany, like we have a formal address and an informal address. And for instance, one thing I really liked about this company is that, well, it is an American company. So they're kind of like the Americans kind of made us do this, but we're on a first name basis. And just little things like that were just clues that it was a little bit more relaxed. Of course, we're all there to get our work done. And it's law. It has to be done perfectly and perfectly on time. But I did 2 interviews and I talked to the pool of people that basically I would be working with. And I talked to the people I would be supporting. And I paid a lot of attention to how we were all communicating. And yeah, so from my side, I think that it will be a good fit culturally and in the community, like as far as communication and collaboration styles go.
And that's why you have those 2 or 3 months.
Trial period or
Period.
something like that. Normally in Germany, it's 6 months.
The trial period is for both, right? It's for
Yeah.
employee and employer to decide is it a good fit. And sometimes we
Yeah.
forget that it's just about employer. I also can say no and just close those doors.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk now about transferable skills because in all my interviews, the guest speakers, all of them mentioned your transferable skills. Transfer your skills. And like, okay, it's very nice to hear, amazing, but how? For example, if a mother who spent 2 years raising her kids, how would she transfer, right, her kids' growing skills from one work to another?
I'm 46. I have been working and basically supporting myself since I was 16, different country, different times. Have been working in admin since I was 18 years old. So I have a lot to draw on from my previous life. And America is one of those countries where admins often have a ton of responsibility and actually I have a lot of power. And so, for instance, when I was talking to these law firms, billing, I said, "Oh, you think you're big time?" Not, and this is a joking way, but this is my style. I'm like, "How much do you bill a month?" "Yeah." I used to handle millions of dollars a week in the military. At the railroad, I was the regional manager. I had a gift budget of $1 million for our employees. I have done more. I have had more responsibility. I come to this country, I came at 38. I already had a whole life behind me. So when I'm coming and talking about transferable skills, I'm like, you do billing? I've done billing and budgeting. Because, attorneys can be scary. But I've worked in Hollywood. I've worked with celebrities. So I just remind myself, I have already done all of this. So I'm like, yes, if you want me to be able to learn how to talk to someone who is very rich and well educated and whatever, I can do that. I can interact with them. That's no problem. So I just try to think what I've done in the past. And I just basically package myself as like, I'm a project manager, whatever your project is. If it's crazy and chaotic, I will come in and I will make some order. And I would say for moms, you're basically running a small business. You're a project manager. I mean, you have to run this ship, and there's no margin for error really. They have to get these immunizations. They have to be fed. They have to be taken to school. So I would package myself as I'm a project manager. I'm an admin. I can deal with deadlines. I can deal with difficult people because sometimes your children are on the floor kicking and screaming, not unlike a lot of men I've worked with, to be honest. So, and you sometimes have to talk to people like, now, are you hungry? Did you not eat lunch? Sometimes that is also how we deal with in the working world with adults. So I would say as a mom, you're already used to these temper tantrums. Don't write yourself off and think because I haven't done it in this area, I can't ever do it. You've done it everywhere else.
Why can't you do it in this area?
Yeah, and I would like to say too, this is a very random thing, but when I left one of my jobs and I worked really, really hard, there was a lot of sleepless nights. I was totally stressed out, but I did a really good job. And when I left, the company said, you did great. But what did everybody say when I left? I mean, of course, they still complain the coffee machine doesn't maybe work as well as it used to, but I can't be there for everything. But a lot of people said, of course, we miss you and you running the office, but we miss you. You were funny and we could talk to you and you were always laughing and the place had a little bit more life. Don't discount also the you that you bring because that is not something to be discounted. Like, so when I go into interviews and stuff, I'm like, let a little bit of that come through. Like, I'm someone who's going to get it done, but I'm fun. I can keep it lighthearted. I'm very caring. Like, I don't mind bringing you a coffee, whoever you are. If you look like you're stuck on a call and you need a coffee,
Yeah.
I can do all those kind of things as well. Like, don't forget you bring, and so I would say as a woman who's a mother, like you do have to somewhat nurture and care for other people, and they will appreciate that. Don't let them take advantage of that, of course. But that is something special that you can bring. That's a little bit of magic you can bring. So don't be afraid to also let your personal your personality shine through.
Stephanie, let's talk about those no's. I'm very happy you got the yes, but what about the no's? How did you deal when you got the no's, especially when you were closer to the last interview part?
Well, it helps that I've probably applied to probably thousands of jobs in my lifetime at this point, and I've probably been on hundreds of interviews, no joke. I think I've been on 50 interviews, I would say, this last round. Not just like over since I've been trying to find a job in Berlin. I went on a lot of interviews before I even got here. I think the key to dealing with rejection, and I was recently in the last round of a job I really, really wanted. I was visualizing, I was manifesting, thinking positively. When I went into the interview, I had been thinking the in-person interview was the second round in person. And I had been visualizing the offices. Not only have I worked in what feels like a bazillion offices at this point, it looked very similar to what I was envisioning. And I was like, this is the job. This is the job. This is a job I really want. I really want to work here. I really want this. Oh, I want this so bad. And they said, for instance, Monday came and went. Tuesday came and went. I'm like, did you make a decision? And then I finally got a no. And it really hit me hard. I have the gift that I have a very nice therapist I've been seeing in the States. We still do video calls. And I said, Nancy, I was just crushed. I was crushed. Normally, I don't get that invested, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you really want that job. And she said, it's like a breakup. So I think of it now like that. It's a breakup. Let yourself mourn. If you have to cry, if you have to feel in the dumps, if you have to eat a whole truffle pizza, whatever that's my thing. If you just need to do those things to make yourself feel better, just think of it like a breakup. You got very invested I think that's what you should do. Envision yourself working there. Envision yourself going to that last round interview and killing it and getting the yes. And when you get the no, just give yourself grace, give yourself understanding. You are human. This can be a very emotional, personal process. It's only your survival. You can live without a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You can't live without a job, or at least most of us can't. So it's emotional, but it's because we have to support ourselves. We have to put food on this table and pay the rent. So it is I just think of it like that. Think of it like a breakup. Let yourself be in the dumps for a day or two and then move on. I mean, it's very hard to absorb, but I say instead of fighting it, let yourself feel shitty. Let yourself feel bad in your pajamas for a day or two, but try to get some movement, try to eat something healthy, call a friend, call your therapist. Like, for instance, I'm starting my new job and I'm hoping it's going to go well. I've already booked an extra session with her the first week so I can check in with her and tell her how it's going, how I'm feeling. So reach out for support if you need that. You're not alone. You can talk to anyone. What I did the last time when I would feel bad, I would call a recruiter and be like, "Do you have anything?" Because I didn't tell them like maybe I got rejected. I'm like, okay, I have this whole network. Let's go. Let's just keep the car rolling, keep it rolling. It's hard though. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It sucks.
So talking about the approaching headhunters, and if a listener is now listening who's okay, I would like to do that, but how? Do you have any tips for them? The first messages?
I would say if you have a Stephanie in your life that's always looking for jobs, and maybe ask them, because a lot of recruiters, even though they specialize, a lot of them are, yes, very small operations, but a lot of them are very big operations. And I would say that find someone and say, do you have a couple of good people you can recommend? You can network for that. Just get online. In Germany, for instance, a lot of them are on Google Maps. You can put recruiter and it will come up and you can get star reviews and see personal testimony and 4.9 out of 5 stars, 3,000 reviews. So it's not just good for restaurants. You can use it for recruiters as well. And yeah, just get in that sphere. And a lot of them have told me there are portals in some of the biggest, so in the law firms that they're talking to, I mean, I imagine it's like this at other places. There is a portal just for recruiters that is not for job seekers. It's not necessarily something that's going to be posted on the company website or even LinkedIn, Zing. So recruiters, they go through recruiters, and then the recruiters can directly put, after, they've talked to you, they say, I give her the stamp thumbs up, they put it into the portal. So yeah, it's really worth it to try to talk to these people. Just give them a call. I would say call as opposed to emailing, probably, because I think that a call within 5 to 10 minutes really cements. So for me, it was good because I was able to talk to them, and they were able to see my German is not perfect, but I can work in it. And so I think that a call can really do wonders if you have the time. If you're not working, see if you can, if they're in your city, see if you can just go in and say, I would love to swing by and just talk to you for 15, 30 minutes. And then they get like a whole impression of you. So don't be afraid to reach out to these people and call them on the phone.
Stephanie, thank you very much for being my guest speaker today. And it was an honor to meet you. And I'm so privileged to have your mindset now in my head instead of the white man pants.
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a great time, and it was so fun to prepare for this. So I'm so glad. We'll have to have another virtual coffee soon, and you can tell me how it's going.
If you want to connect with Stephanie, you can find her on LinkedIn. Write her and tell her what resonated from this conversation. Thank you for listening, and let's go get these jobs.